Hello, welcome to Shamanism, Metaphysics, and Grace. I'm Lauren Hubele, and I'm here with my mentor today, Jyoti Wind. Jyoti, welcome.
Thank you, Lauren. Always a pleasure.
It is a pleasure, Jyoti, and it's been a couple weeks since we were together, so I'm super excited and interested in where our conversation might go today. Would you like to open up our space today?
Sure. Thank you. Grandmothers and grandfathers of the East, spirits of the East, we call to you. We ask for your blessings on this day. Grandmothers and grandfathers, spirits of the South, we ask for your blessings and your sense of direction. Place our feet on the path that's right for us. Grandmothers and grandfathers, healing spirits of the West, we call to you. We ask to be able to see what it is ours to receive. Grandmothers and grandfathers, wisdom keepers of the North, we call to you. Let us rest in our own knowledge, our own self-awareness. Grandfather Sky, we ask for your protection. Grandmother Earth, we ask to be reminded of our own mercy and compassion. And to that wisdom keeper, that ancestor who lives in our hearts, may that being also be present.
Thanks, Jyoti. You know, Jyoti, I realize we have been at these podcasts for nearly a year now.
Yeah.
You have delivered in them a wealth of wisdom for so many people that have been listening. And I just want to express my personal gratitude for you doing that.
Thank you, Lauren. It's been my pleasure, and it's my way of giving back what I've learned in the course of my years. And I've also received some thank yous from people, and it warms my heart. I'm so glad there are people who are open to this way of looking at things.
Yeah. Well, Jyoti, this is such an interesting time that we live in. And I know that that's been part of our exploration together. And you've offered different avenues in for folks from many different directions. And today, I think you have something that will appeal to everyone and just checking in at this moment.
Well, what occurred to me was how to begin, to start where you find yourself. Because everybody is, they have different lifestyles, different time frames. They are in different stages, perhaps, of awareness of themselves. And so it just occurred to me maybe to talk a little bit about how to start where you find yourself. You could be a householder, you could be a business owner, you could be an employee, you could be self-employed, a mother, a father, a grandmother, a grandfather. And so you just start where you find yourself. You begin that personal inquiry, let's say, asking into yourself, who am I and what am I doing here? There's a favorite expression that goes around these days, and it's kind of like we're spiritual beings having a human experience. And so and I feel it's so true. And so how do we awaken that personality to begin to accept that, to begin to see ourselves that way? And simple meditations, just sitting and listening to your breathing, listening to your breath. Simple body cultures, yoga, anything that helps you relax, massage, uh, and exploring different ways of being in nature when you can, even if it's a park down the street in the city, and the nature beings live there. It's not sterile just because it's in the middle of the city. There's trees and there's rocks and there's soil and there's grass and sometimes flowers growing, even if it's very manicured. Nature lives there. The plant spirits live there, the devas and the other beings who help the nature kingdom flourish.
Jyoti, you state that in um, very simple terms that feel really accessible, but meeting ourselves where we are can be a journey in itself.
Yes, yes, of course. And so just kind of opening the door in your intention, to maybe deepen your relationship with yourself, because kind of tongue in cheek, it is an inside job. I mean, we can learn from other people, um, maybe some methods or some ways of doing things, but ultimately it's us coming to us. It's meeting ourselves and being willing to work through what got us here at this point in time, how we arrived here in this moment, and in this moment to begin our journey of getting to know ourselves on a deeper level. And, meditation practices are free online. There's yoga classes that are free online. Going out and walking in nature and just, asking those beings perhaps who help us and work with us, even if we can't see them. I mean, if you're kind of Christian Catholic oriented, you can call on the angels. If you're more nature oriented, you can call on tree spirits, and just go put your hand on a tree and just stand there. You don't have to know anything. You don't have to do anything, but just making contact. Um, because in a sense, it's a mirror of you making contact with another part of yourself.
Mm, mm. That's a powerful statement. I wanted to get back to that, but I want to just circle back around to this start, because I think so many listeners can hear this, and I know that was me at a different time too, of saying, yeah, well, I'll get to that because I'm really busy right now. And I'm maybe when the kids go to school, or when I retire, when my job isn't so hectic. And I think you offer some simple and easy inroads for folks, that so they don't have to put it off, right? We can align these practices with exactly where we are and the tiny bit of time we can allot.
Sometimes, they call it four square breathing or square breathing, breathing in for four, holding for four, releasing for four, and holding out for four counts. And I mean, it's a simple thing. You can do 3 or 4 breaths at a time, in a few minute time frame. And I've done it, in moments where I'm in between a busy day or a busy week, and sometimes I'll just sit quiet and do that four square breathing, and it's enough to kind of bring me back to myself, calm my mind a little bit so it's not trying to race ahead. And I have a more formal, you could say, meditation practice that I do in the morning. That's come from years and years of doing it, but that little four square breathing technique is you could do it in 5 minutes, you
Sure.
know um And I know how busy things are, and I know how much things have speeded up, and I know that there's, somebody vying for your time or something vying for your time, whether it's a little kid, whether it's a family member, whether it's a boss, or your own schedule that you've kind of done to yourself. Um, but finding little moments of time, even just walking outside in a lunch break and just going and sitting in a park, or just quieting your own mind, quieting your thoughts, just letting go of that busyness and having to tend to things with that busy mind, just stepping back from that in whatever way suits you,
Mm.
works for you. And sometimes you experiment, you try different things. Well, will this work for me? Or no, this doesn't work for me. I'm too active. Some people can't sit and meditate, so you do a walking meditation. You feel your feet on the ground and you just, walk in nature or walk down a city block, and with the intention of just breathing, noticing your feet, noticing your body, paying attention to your breath. And it can calm your nervous system enough to just give you a little moment of space.
Mhm.
And that little moment of space can grow over time. And that sense of almost like peace,
Mhm.
away from the busy
Mhm.
mind, even if it's just for 5 seconds, 10 seconds, it becomes a desirable experience,
Mhm.
because it's like tasting something and you realize the benefits of it, and you realize, hey, this felt really great. I want to do this again.
Yeah. Yeah. This this experience that you're talking about is really what can be called as coming home, right? Coming home to oneself.
Yes.
And so, what is the benefit of that? And where am I when I'm not at home with myself?
You're at the mercy of whatever's going on, whatever feelings are running through the room, whatever energetics are happening around you, driven by a mind or an energy inside of you that has an agenda. They feel like they need to get things perfect.
Mm.
And so they spend a lot of time trying to perfect something. Or they feel like, their self worth is tied into getting the job done, getting it done well, achieving goals. Um, uh, there's many things that people spend time on that don't necessarily give them peace. It satisfies more, dare I say, a neurotic drive,
Yeah.
in the personality structure because of trauma or woundings or
Mm.
a misplaced sense of who they really are.
Yeah.
And the only point of like meditation and developing some type of personal insight is to really connect with your authenticity and who you really are as a being. And not everybody has that agenda. Not everybody cares about that. But there are people who do. And there are people who are seeking some type of peaceful coexistence, in with other people in their family, in their life, and especially with themselves. They're tired of the rat race. They're tired of business as usual. They want something else.
Mm.
And the only way to really find that is inside.
Wow. Wow. I want to unpack that because it's actually quite a bit that you shared there. So, this idea of coming home to myself or connecting with myself can bring me peace because when I'm not connected with myself, I'm being distracted by other storylines that are taking me maybe into the future
Oh,
and
yeah.
anxiety, or maybe to the past and old stories.
Yes. And being in the present moment. I mean, I experience it like this. If I'm not paying attention to where I am in the moment, more and more in my life, I forget if I left the burner on under a pot of water for tea. Did I turn that off? Kind of thing. Um, I realized that I've driven 10 miles and don't remember much about it or the scenery or anything, because I'm in the past or the future. I'm not in the present moment. The old Zen expressions: when I eat, I eat; when I sleep, I sleep. Being present with what you're doing. When I eat, I eat. I'm not off somewhere else tending to other ideas and other dreams or visions, or thinking about the past, what I should have done, or could have done. Being as present in the moment keeps you connected with yourself, and you are present. You remember what you're doing. You know where you've been in those moments prior to right now, and you're not thinking ahead to the moments coming. You're just doing what you do in this moment. And it gives you a more present relationship with yourself, and um, able to tune into and make choices and decisions accordingly.
Mm. So, acknowledging what our role is or our identity seems like a first step. Like, I'm a mother and I have children to care for, or I'm a CEO of a company, or acknowledging that and then moving forward from that place.
And being willing to open that door to a deeper and maybe more authentic experience of who you are. It's like if you're a householder and you have little kids and you sit down on the floor to play with the kids, they know if you're present or not. You know what I mean? It's like they'll climb up in your lap and start pulling on your face, Mom, where are you? Because you're maybe thinking about what you're going to cook for dinner, or maybe you're thinking about this podcast you want to listen to later, or you're thinking about how you didn't get the attention that you're giving your child, but you're thinking in the past and you're not being present, and you're not giving that child that attention that you really wanted or needed. And it's just, how do you keep bringing yourself back to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
being with you, when your mind goes off, because the mind, that's the nature of mind. It just goes off into a million storylines in the course of a day. So how do you bring it back to me? I'm bringing this back to me. This is about me in the moment, just being present with myself for as long as I can maintain that awareness or consciousness or thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I can see where that will be a struggle for many, because
It
being
is.
me isn't always everyone's favorite person.
Yes, 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 there is that. Absolutely. And so if we consider that we are spiritual beings coming to have a human experience, and what this planet offers us at this point in time, and how we're in the process of letting go of old ways of thinking and old patterns of being, it's like a door of newness is there in any moment to take us out of the old habits, the habitual thinking and feeling processes, and just being in the moment. And what does that moment hold for you?
Mm-hmm.
And thinking of ourselves as spiritual beings first, and then having a human experience, um, can open our thinking and our perceptions to being so much more than this human.
Yeah, we have a lot of limiting ideas about ourselves, don't we?
Yes, and fears and dislikes and opinions and uh, delusions of grandeur and delusions of suffering, on either side of the aisle. And so how do we just accept who we are in our beauty and in our simplicity and in our willingness to look beyond what is?
Hmm. So coming in touch with who we see ourselves and then sitting with that to see what's coming up, what's authentic about that.
Yeah, and what else is there? What
Yeah.
else is there in that moment that we might get glimpses of?
Hmm. Sounds a bit of a discernment process.
I think it is, yes.
Yeah.
And it's also not only decision making, but it's also um, a sense of it's discernment, but it's also decision making. Am I willing to open the door to something other than what I'm seeing in
Oh,
the moment? Yeah.
yeah,
Am I
that's pretty
willing?
big.
Yeah, it's the willingness. It's not so much am I ready, because we can never be ready, Oh, I'm not ready yet. I don't know that I want to do that. I don't know whether I want to change my relationship with my children if all of a sudden I'm seeing myself differently. I would say that it would only enhance and open and authenticate your relationship with your children
Mhm.
by seeing deeper aspects of yourself and being as in the moment as is possible, bringing yourself back to you.
Mm. Bringing yourself back to you. That sounds like good advice.
Sounds like a book title.
Yeah, it does. What else would you like to share on this topic, Jyoti?
Um, there might be ways that people can, when they go to bed at night, they can ask into themselves. I just want to see more of who I really am. And your inner world will respond to that request, whether it'll be through dreams or through a realization you have a week later or a conversation that just comes around to those kind of topics of authenticity and being willing to dive into yourself and see who you, quote, really are, in a sense. And so as you ask, you are responded to. As you ask, you are answered. If you ask the universe for something, it will respond. And so if you ask into yourself when you go to bed at night, I want to see more of myself. I want to see more of my authenticity. I want to learn how to be in the moment. I want to uh, just really create a deeper relationship with myself.
Mm.
Um, as you put that out, as you go to bed at night, the universe will respond in some way.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that you've brought it round to this dream work because it's a favorite of mine. And I think it's such an untapped tool, particularly for folks that are busy, because hopefully we all sleep for a period of time. And if
Yes,
we allow that sleep time to be part of our revealing about ourselves, it's a wonderful opportunity.
absolutely. I mean, I kept a dream journal for years, with a small flashlight by my bed and a notebook. And if I woke up in the middle of the night, I'd write either some choice notes, that I could come back to in the morning, or I would just write out the whole dream and then turn the flashlight off and go back to sleep.
Yeah.
And I kept that dream journal for years, and it was very, very revealing in a sense of how my psyche works and how I process things. And even sometimes what dreams reveal about maybe even what's coming
Mm,
in a more collective sense.
yeah, beautiful, Jyoti. Yeah. Anything else today?
No, I think that's it.
Great. I want to thank our listeners. And again, I want to direct you to Jyoti's website where you can find out more information and contact her directly. And Jyoti, that is.
JyotiWindAstrology.com. And I also have a free YouTube channel under my name that has free classes and workshops on there as well.
Fantastic. Thanks, Jyoti. I'm looking forward to continuing this conversation.
Yes, thank you, Lauren.